What's going on, you guys? This is New York Adventurer 1994 here, and today is Thursday, November 30th, 2023. It is officially the last day of November 2023, and tomorrow it will be the start of December. And the reason why I wanted to come out here is to mention that both the Pacific and the Atlantic hurricane season is officially over. The 2023 hurricane season is officially over. Hurricane season is always set to start on June 1st, and it runs till November 30th, and today is the end. So, we had more than expected activity this hurricane season. We were expecting a much slower season, like with minimal hurricanes and less activity. Like, we weren't expecting to concern that much about the hurricanes this year, due to the fact that we're in an El Nino now. But I did not want to underestimate it too much, and there was enough energy in both the Atlantic and the Pacific to fuel up these hurricanes, and we had a lot of hurricanes this year. This hurricane season happened to be very active, and we almost used up the whole name chart, just like what we did in 2005, 2020, and 2021, the top 3 most active Atlantic hurricane seasons. We almost used up the whole Atlantic name list for the hurricanes because the season was so active and the water was warm enough to generate all these hurricanes. So yeah, this season happened to be very active. It almost matched the level of activity like how 2021 did. It almost matched that. So yeah, this has been an active hurricane season for an El Nino. We probably had an active hurricane season due to the lagging La Nina effect. Like, the La Nina is like dying down, and this is the effects. Now, I don't know what to expect this winter. I don't know if it's gonna be warm this winter, or we might have something. I mean, just because we're going to an El Nino, we might still get something, like a coastal storm or whatever. Like, we still have to keep an eye out for nor'easters this winter. Either way. Like, we still have to keep an eye out for nor'easters or windstorms or whatever. And we could get, like, snow for one day, despite being an El Nino. Yeah, the winters here are pretty mild for Long Island. We get mild winters here in Long Island. So I don't know what to expect this winter. But we could still see something like a nor'easter. So yeah. Let's go over what we saw this hurricane season. So in the Pacific, we had Hurricane Dora making a long run in the Pacific, and they did not pose a direct threat to Hawaii. They stayed like offshore, like 700 miles, but it actually helped bring in those wildfires in Hawaii. They like made the wildfires in Hawaii even worse than what it was, due to the wind being generated from Hurricane Dora and the high pressure up north from Hawaii. They were like a key factor to generate those winds in Hawaii, which made those wildfires more dangerous in Hawaii. And then we had like these 2 Cat 5 hurricanes in the Pacific. Now, about Hurricane Otis. Besides Hurricane Otis, we had Hurricane Jova as a Cat 5, but that didn't affect anybody. We had Hurricane Otis, like, as a tropical storm when it made landfall in Mexico, and then all of a sudden, overnight, it rapidly intensified into a Cat 5 hurricane, like in seconds. Like overnight, it just turned into a Cat 5 while everyone was asleep. It just rammed the heck out of southern Mexico. And then we had Hurricane Hilary as a Cat 4 hurricane impact California. That it brought a lot of problems to California. It brought a lot of rain, wind, and a lot of flooding. And California's infrastructure was so bad, I don't think the power was able to handle it. And then we had Hurricane Franklin. That was a Cat 4, and it made landfall in the Dominican Republic, and it went out to sea and impacted Bermuda. Yeah, Bermuda saw a lot of hurricanes this year, but it's pretty typical for Bermuda since it sits in the Atlantic Ocean. That a lot of hurricanes like happen to pass by it all the time, and I'm pretty sure they know how to prepare for a hurricane. And then after Franklin hit, it almost made the same direction Fiona took, like back in 2022. And then we had Hurricane Idalia impact Florida in the southeast as a Cat 4 hurricane, and that almost made the same path as Ian, but it was not as menacing as Ian was. It wasn't really that bad. I don't know if they're going to retire their name or not, because I didn't really see that much damage compared to what Ian did, or Irma. And then Idalia just left out to sea, and it went near Bermuda again. And then we had Hurricane Lee, like, go into a Cat 5 status, and it made a long run in the Atlantic, but many Long Islanders were fearing this hurricane through the early start of September, and I was pretty nervous for everyone too. I did not want to be in a major hurricane in Long Island, because if this hurricane made landfall as a Cat 3 or a Cat 2, I would not be in Long Island right now, and this house probably would have been destroyed. This probably wouldn't even be my house anymore if Lee made a direct landfall on Long Island as a Cat 2 or a Cat 3 hurricane. I would not be in Long Island right now. I'd be long evacuated. But if it was like a Cat 1, it would have still been terrible, but it wouldn't be that bad if I stayed here. I probably would have stayed if it was a Cat 1, because like during a tropical storm, or if it's just a Cat 1 hurricane, I'm still able to stay here. But if it's like a Cat 2 or a Cat 3, I would have to get out of here. Yeah, we almost evacuated from Hurricane Lee, and I almost hit an upstate because of it. Thankfully, it missed us, but it still brought these rip currents across Long Island, and we had like these breezy winds from the outer bands, and the only places it impacted were southern New England, like Cape Cod and 2 islands, and then Atlantic Canada and the Gulf of Maine. Those are the places it impacted. And it was also another Bermuda hurricane. And then Lee dissipated like in 2 days. And then Long Island saw another tropical storm called Ophelia, and this tropical storm was like a high-end tropical storm status, or probably a Cat 1 hurricane, and it made landfall in North Carolina. But its impacts were widespread along the eastern seaboard, that we had a lot of rain in this area the following Saturday, and like wind gusts of 30 miles an hour. And then Ophelia's remnants came back again the following Friday, and it like postponed the Rangers and Islanders preseason game, like, the day before I left for Albany again. Like, the remnants stayed until I left for Albany. And then we had Tropical Storm Philippe, like, going to New England. Like, Tropical Storm Philippe made the same path as Hurricane Lee did, but Hurricane Lee was like a monster. The eye wall looked like a sports stadium. And then our last Atlantic hurricane was Tropical Storm Tammy, or Hurricane Tammy, because it was a Cat 2, and it was another Bermuda hurricane. And the last Pacific hurricane was Raman. And I don't think the hurricane season ended on Sandy's 11th anniversary. I think the Wikipedia is like putting in that misinformation again. I really think the disturbance that formed in November in the Atlantic and dumped a lot of rain on the islands, I think that was the last system for the season. I really think hurricane season ended like right after that disturbance left. I think hurricane season ended like right after the disturbance dissipated, after it dumped heavy rainfall on the islands. Yeah, that was like the only storm we dealt with that November in the islands. And the last Pacific hurricane was Tropical Storm Raman. Yeah, I couldn't say the name right. But I think our actual end to hurricane season for the Atlantic was that disturbance that formed this month and dumped a lot of rainfall on the islands. So yeah, we're officially done with hurricane season, and I don't know what's expected next, but I expect some coastal storms this winter, and I don't know what to expect from this winter. We're in El Nino, so I don't know. We could still get something, but who knows. And I gotta say, we had an active hurricane season this year. Even though there was a lot saying that we didn't really have to worry that much. But I didn't underestimate anything. I was still being cautious and prepared for any worst case scenario. Our worst case scenario this year was getting steamrolled by Hurricane Lee. It probably would have been much worse than Sandy if it impacted us directly, like what Hurricane Henri almost did. And everyone says that Long Island is overdue for a direct hit from a hurricane. Yeah, the next storm for us is on the horizon. We don't know when, but it's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when this happens. We could still see another Sandy, but I don't know when. Not a matter of if, but when. So I guess that's it. Bye.